Greetings, everyone. This evening, we're very happy to have Ajahn Mudito joining us from Brazil. So, Thanajan, thanks so much for joining us. Yeah. Ajahn, I'm just going to read a quick bio of you. So, Ajahn Mudito was born in Sao Paulo, Brazil in 1977 and began monastic life in 2002 when he entered the training at Wat Pah Nanachat, the International Forest Monastery in the Ajahn Chah tradition. In 2004, he was ordained as a Bhikkhu at Wat Nong Pah Pong by Luang Por Liem. He would go on to spend time with Luang Por who visited Seattle earlier this year, and then to establish himself as a disciple of Luang Por Piak, who continues to be his teacher to this day, and whom he hosted in Brazil last year. In 2011, he moved to Vimutti Buddhist Monastery in New Zealand, and in 2013, he returned to Brazil for the first time to teach as a monk, and eventually would go on to establish Sudhavāri Buddhist Monastery, where he is now, in São Lourenço, Brazil, where he's currently the abbot. He has translated teachings from multiple teachers of the Thai forest tradition into Portuguese, and in addition to his abbotship, he is the spiritual director of the Buddhist Society of Brazil. So this is our second interview with Thanajan Mudito, and so as some people know, Northeast Thailand is somewhat renowned for their spicy food and also their spicy Dhamma. So Luang Tam Mahabua, Luang Por Tongrat, even Luang Por Chah, could really speak quite forcefully on the Dhamma. And last time you were with us, Thanajan, you mentioned that Thai people were like polite Brazilians. So we thought today to go into kind of some spicy subjects, some kind of blunt, maybe unpopular in the West Dhamma topics. So hope that's okay.
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
Well, maybe this isn't maybe necessarily so spicy, but one of your recent talks, you talked about just the importance of having a teacher. And this is something which a lot of independent-minded Westerners might think, oh, I can just go it alone. I can just, read the old discourses, or I can do it myself. Could you speak a little bit about the importance of having a teacher?
Well, it is a tricky thing. Like the place where having a teacher, it really becomes essential. In my experience, my opinion, is that especially if you start to really get into samadhi, like if you really start to experience samadhi, it gets really tricky. It's like, it's not just like for example, if you take the monastic training that we do, like, the whole beginning of the process of monastic training is really this kind of thing, grinding down your ego, just polishing up, taking out the excess, developing qualities like respect, humbleness, reverence, like being able to give up your own opinions, like changing, being ready to change, to let go of your opinions, being respectful, having reverence for your teacher. This kind of thing becomes really, really useful, when it gets to, depending on the kind of mind that you have, it's going to be necessary. It can become very tricky. Once you start to develop samadhi, is having a teacher that you respect, that can tell you, stop going this way, turn left, and say, yes, sir, come. And then that is really, really useful. So it's not really like it doesn't. I don't think it's not too complicated that you need specific instructions. It's just a matter of helping you deal with yourself. Especially when you start to get into the issue of samadhi, then it can be very tricky. So like I said, it's not so much that the teacher will tell you something. The fact that there is a teacher, somebody you can turn to, have as a guidance, as like a point of reference. Even just the idea, Luang Por wouldn't do this. Luang Por spoke about this. This is not the way to go. I should go that way. So having a clear guidance, a clear north, to aim I think is really important. So Yeah, I think from my point of view, this is the real point that is really, really important to have a teacher. Other than that, it's just if you're blessed having an inspiring person around, it really energizes your mind. It gives you hope. It gives you like you need a human contact. You can't. No, the idea of practicing just reading books is a good. It sounds nice, but we are human beings. We are not. No, we're not computers. We are human beings. So that's where you were talking about the teachings for the Thai tradition. This lively thing, you can hear the person behind the words. Like this is why I started to translate it, teachings from Thai, because I was reading from English translations. And it comes out in the book very formal and very, Ajahn Chah sounds very articulate and very clear. And then when you hear the Dhamma talk in Thai, it's a human mess. Like he's just talking, he changes subject, he starts a phrase, he stops and begins again, start laughing right through that phrase, he stops and laughs. Because this is very different from what you get from reading the book. So yes, I think you need human contact. Is really important to have, and then, like I said, when it gets to the point of samadhi, I think it becomes very tricky. It's very good to have a teacher.
Speaking, kind of grounding this conversation and also orienting those who might not have seen our previous interview, where we spoke a lot about your relationship with Luang Por Piak, one of the most well-known Thai teachers in Kruba Ajahns in Thailand, and known for, he's definitely direct. Could you just talk about your relationship to him as a teacher as well? I mean, it'll be a bit of review from last time, but what was unique about that relationship and why did it work for you?
Well, like all relationships is both-sided. There's no that's him, and then how I react to him, and then how I react to me reacting to him. So it kind of settled in a certain way. That in practical terms, like I tell this a lot around here. Like I only went to speak to him maybe like to ask them questions, maybe 2 or 3 times only. And then the way he answered me was very clear. He expected me to figure it out by myself. And so I saw the third time I really got the message. Okay, I'm not going to bother you anymore. I just go back and practice. But the thing is, for in his case, he's very good at knowing where his disciples are. So very, very, very repeatedly, many times during the Dhamma talks, he would speak specifically about things that you were dealing with or others were dealing with, to the point that sometimes it was kind of scary. Even it's not just myself. Other monks have the same story. Sometimes he would give a Dhamma talk, and we will know he's talking about somebody. So after the Dhamma talk is done, we ask him, "Was it you?" I say, "Yeah, it was me." So I didn't feel like I have to ask him many questions. He would give frequent Dhamma talks, and it was very relevant, the Dhamma talks he gave. And then he would put his way of practice like this, that he suggests, very clear and very simple. So it was and he has attitude if you want to go make some question, if you want to come and make some question, you have to have something to show. Don't come here with just wondering about this. I was wondering about this. Don't wonder about that. Come here. If you want to make a question, show me something. Show me you have something to know. Results. I want to see results. If you don't have results, don't bother coming here. So that in itself for me was really useful. To take me out of my wandering mind. Just focus on get to results. Now don't sit there wondering if I should do this, if I should do that. Yes, like this thing, I would only come to him with a question if I was something that I really think was worth it asking. Now, if it's just the mind was kind of presenting a weird manifestation, that's not enough. Because that's what the mind does. The mind just goes like that, So once you have something solid there, I think I should ask Luang Por about this. Then I go and ask him. So this kind of stuff, it really creates an environment where you practice, and it gives you it doesn't have to be even like the making question. Just being in an environment that is influenced by this person. He has a style of teaching, he has attitude, he expects from his disciples. That itself for me was way enough for me. That was more than enough. Like,
yeah. Did you? I found once I was living with a teacher, not Luang Por Piak. I actually found that when I asked Luang Por Piak, I found his answers uncannily appropriate. It was like I was so surprised that he could actually give me an answer that was so spot on. But there was another time when I was living with another teacher who I really respected a lot. And I actually asked him a lot of questions, but his answers actually never went home, when I was asking specific questions. Did you find that the answers that you received, even though you only asked a few questions that you got from Luang Por Piak, did you always find them helpful or applicable, or what was that like?
No, his answer was always to some extent, go figure it out by yourself. Some variations. Let me give a very clear example. Like it's not even one of the 3 times I went to ask him formally. I went to him, pay respect, and ask him. But I remember one time I was thinking about Taodam in Thailand, with this retreat area. I was thinking about my time there, and I said, I wish I could go back there. I think it was very helpful for my practice to go there. You know what? I think I'm going to ask Luang Por about it. So we were just talking, standing and talking about something else. So I should just say, Luang Por, I was thinking about going back to Taodam. I think I had some good meditation there. He just looked at me. You're probably not going to Taodam. You're lazy. And start like conversation finished. Yes, sir. So that kind of thing, like, was very helpful for me. Like it really worked for me. That kind of thing. I think a lot of people, if you hear that from your teacher, you're just going to break apart into anxiety. And for me, it was very sobering and very like I don't know. It just works for me. In my case, it works. And but again, like there's always the Dhamma talks. So if you listen to the Dhamma talks, it was very simple and clear. Like do this. This is how you do it. So the Dhamma talk was very satisfactory in that respect. The times I went to talk to him, he thought it was more useful to actually, put me back on my own practice than indulging in my doubts and thinking I will wonder about this. That doesn't matter. Go back and keep practicing. That's one.
Yeah, one example of kind of like how Luang Por Piak was both ways for me is I asked him, very respectfully, came up to him on my knees and said, Luang Por, can you give me some advice about breath meditation? This was after chanting the monk's rules, the Patimokkha. And he says, okay, meditate for a little bit. And I'm like, right now? You mean in front of you? And
oh yeah, he does that.
so I tried to, close my eyes and do something. And he just laughs after, waits a little bit and then just laughs and tells me doesn't give me any advice about the breath, but he says, meditate on the face of the Buddha, which actually for me at the time was, I've never heard any teacher give that instruction, but for me at the time, it was actually spot on. And for different reasons that I won't go into right now, but yeah, it was kind of both. It wasn't at all what I wanted to hear, but it was something which was quite useful. So. Yes,
I have seen him doing things like that before. That's one of the things. You're going to ask Luang Por Piak about meditation. Be ready. He might just especially this. You have to be very, very humble when you ask him about meditation, because he might just tell, okay, then do it. Let me see. So you have to be ready for something like that. He does that,
and not afraid to laugh. He's not afraid to laugh.
Yeah.
So,
well, on that note, Thanajan, like, your story was one of Luang Por just applying some effacement to you and saying, don't be lazy, put aside the doubts that are relevant. Ajahn Kovilo's is about meditation. And why is it particularly important? Like, where have you seen teachers steer students around the meditation aspect? Because that is something where people sometimes might not have access to a teacher. So why is that especially problematic or dangerous ground that a teacher is useful for?
You mean like not practicing with a teacher, not having a teacher?
Well, actually, first of all, like why is a teacher particularly important in when you start to talk about samadhi as opposed to sila, you know, and where have you seen kind of people go wrong if they don't have access to that?
Because ego does not disappear when you practice meditation. It's still there and it's still reacting. So if you start to experience something in your meditation, your ego will grab it immediately. And then it can be very tricky. Like for just like in one very benign example, there's many worse things that can happen. But for example, a person start practicing meditation, eventually start to experience a little bit of piti and sukha, if you experience happiness in meditation. And then when that happens, of course, your mind reacts and says, oh, this is great, this is fun, this is excellent. Especially imagine if you are a monk, you give up everything, you give up your girlfriend, you give up your job, you give up your house, your car for this. You know? When it's not happening, it's difficult not to get excited, not to getting so of course when you get excited, when you get like attached to that experience, then you might become coarse, so that it disappears. And then you can repeat it again, because when you sit meditation, you sit with desire. I want to experience that again. But then the mind is coarse, it's not subtle like it was before. So you can repeat it. So what happens? Frustration. Frustration happens, and then anger, and then you start to feel, well, I'm useless, I can't do it again. What I've been trying out this year. So every time you sit, is like failure. I have failed again. I have failed. I had a goal and I could not do it. So every time it's failure. Eventually a person it can even give up. Like I've seen people doing before. Like it just, because they made some progress that actually led them to this kind of vicious cycle of mentality. They just end up giving up because of that. If you don't have that's like I said, it's just the most benign example I can think of. It can go from that to misinterpreting what you are experiencing, thinking you have attained something, mistaking like a basic level of samadhi for attainments in Arya Magga. It's a long way. It's a long list of things that can go wrong. So it is a very sobering experience, having somebody who has more experience than you, just to be there and tell, no, you're acting like an idiot. Just stop it. Whatever this great thing that you're so happy about, that's nothing. Just stop it. Whatever you're doing, just stop it. You're wasting. This is nothing. No, that's very helpful, because it's tricky. You sit in meditation, you're trying to figure out what you're doing. Is hard to not to. It is like something you've never seen before. There's a new dimension of being that you don't have experience with, so you don't have nothing to compare with. It can be tricky to evaluate that. So yeah, and then like just hearing Dhamma talks about, like what Luang Por is saying now, he was with Luang Por Chah, and then he like somehow he is interesting just to see him as a student talking about his teacher. So he tells, like, for example, he had some good meditation. He was young, and then he thought, well, it looks like I have some good parami, And then somehow Luang Por Chah caught that. He noticed that, or maybe it was coincidence or not. But then in a Dhamma talk at night, Luang Por Chah mentioned, well, some people here think they have good parami, they have good meditation. I said, that's not good meditation yet. Good meditation is you sit, when you inhale, before you exhale, your mind is already very peaceful. Like in the context where they use the word, it means like you are in jhana. You inhale, before you exhale, you're already in jhana. Luang Por Piak, just that much, like say, wow, this is another dimension. This is like who can do something like that? So this kind of shock between your perception of yourself and what your teacher showed. No, this is what is good meditation. So that's very helpful. Like this, it's hard not to have delusions about your own practice. No, so it is very helpful to have a teacher around who can sober you up, no? Or sober you down.
It's very interesting just for you to point out the importance of just humility and kind of, the Buddha has a sutta where he says that one who dwells without respect for something dwells in pain, and then decides to, since he says, I have no teacher, who should I dwell in respect to, and takes on the Dhamma. What would you say, Ajahn, to the many of the people who are watching who don't have direct access to living with Luang Por Piak or a teacher? How do they navigate these waters without that resource?
I think it's fine. Like, because think about it, like many people went to live with Luang Por Chah, and nothing really came up out of it all that much. Like Luang Por Chah has thousands of disciples. Ajahn Nan, you too probably know monks who live with Ajahn Nan and then didn't come out well as well. It doesn't. Just living with the teacher is not the magic key they're going to solve all your problems. So you don't have to worry too much about it. No, it's something I think we do sometimes, that we are trying to develop a peaceful mind, and then we became agitated about the issue of developing a peaceful mind. So, you think, I need to have a teacher. And then you became agitated. I cannot practice meditation because I don't have a teacher. Well, that agitation is worse than not having a teacher. So if you want to do something for yourself, then stop making complications. Stopping agitating your mind. Even with the issue, even the desire to get it right, get a good teacher, get it right, that can become a hindrance for yourself. So first of all, don't agitate your mind with that issue. Even with the issue of finding the teacher, don't let it become an agitation. Thinking of that like it's a karma. Some people will have the good karma of finding a teacher in this lifetime. Some people will not, and it's fine. Like it's just a karma you go through. No, I know it sounds bad if I talk like this, but I think that to have a good teacher, you have to be a good student. Otherwise, it's okay not to have a good teacher. No? As long as it might even be good not to have a good teacher when you're not a good student. No, because you say, suppose like Luang Por, your teacher. Suppose you get an enlightened teacher, no, an arahant, and he tells you practice like this, and then you don't. How bad is that? Like, how foolish is that? I came all the way here. He accepted me as a teacher. He told me how to practice, and I don't do it. No, how bad is that? I think it's quite bad, actually. I think so. If you're not ready, maybe it's good not to have a good teacher. Maybe you just keep to your level. So what I say to people, like what I've been teaching nowadays, is just like if you were to ask me to show me a progression, a wholesome progression of a practice for a beginner, I will say, first of all, of course, 5 precepts. This is like urgent. No, it's not like you don't do anything else. You don't sit meditation. You do all the practice that we do, but it's just that in your first stage of your life as a Dhamma practitioner, give priority to following the 5 precepts. If you can't, then get to the point where you can do it. And when you can't do it, get to the point where you do it with wisdom. And not just like a pure discipline. You have to internalize those things so that you don't have to restrain yourself from taking what is not given to you. You have to really get to the point where you don't desire what is not given to you. You have to that kind of sila have to become wisdom to some extent. So sila first as a restraint and discipline, but then you have to become wisdom as well. Second. Once you have sila well established, okay, you have to lift your mind in your daily life as it is now. Lift your mind to such a way that you can be, I would say, even happy. I was happy in a normal way, like. You can say the word wisdom, but in a normal way. Not wisdom, the kind of thing that it doesn't get to the point to be spiritual yet. Just normal wisdom. For example, No, like don't be an idiot like I used to be when I was a layperson. When I was driving a car, I was getting to the intersection, and the light becomes red. I said, right when I was going to pass the light, this is just because I get angry. You know? Don't be that guy. Like, get to this basic level. I don't even call it wisdom, just common sense. You know, try to pay attention to that. No, because people don't even develop common sense and they want to sit meditation, become peaceful. That's kind of crazy. Right? That's kind of it just don't make sense too much. So pay attention to your daily life. That point to the suttas, especially those kind of suttas in the Anguttara Nikaya, Samyutta Nikaya, are excellent in terms of talking about good friendship, avoiding bad companions, gratitude, humbleness, diligence. No, all this kind of stuff, which is supposed to be common sense, they need to become manifest. Now, don't just read about it and talk about it. Actually do it. If you do those two, like I think if you have a good sila, good like a mundane wisdom, mundane common sense, like the things that's supposed to be normal, but that we don't do. If you do those two, meditation is not that hard, actually. It's not really that hard. So once you got those two well established, that you got found, abandoned bad companionship, made good friends, developed wholesome mental habits like gratitude, humbleness, courage, diligence, etc. When you have those wholesome, harmonious mind, it becomes normal to you. Then you then it becomes more realistic to say, now I'm going to really, really focus on meditation. Before that, you go meditating as well. You along with all that, you keep practice meditation on that. But to really expect much of meditation before you have those two foundations well established, I think is kind of unrealistic. And then once you have those two foundations well established, also I think when you start to practice meditation, it's not that there's not many dangers. I think we're going to have a good emotional tools, good emotional intelligence to deal with things that might come up in your meditation. You got to start experiencing piti, sukha, you start to see images, you start to feel strange sensations, or you get in touch with some hidden emotions that you didn't know were there. Now, when you get there, so what do I do? Now you know what to do. Like you train that in your daily life, dealing with traffic jams, dealing with difficult neighbors, dealing with you train all that in your daily life. When you get to that stage, you got strong, mature, wise foundation. So that I think you can do without a teacher that much. And then if you really, really start to get into meditation, you practice really start to get to things that require instruction, I believe you're going to find a teacher, because they want good students. They want people to come to them with a real issue and ask. It is a pleasure for them to answer those questions. And to the same extent that I see Luang Por Piak has no patience at all with people who are deluded and come to asking about jhana, I also see the opposite. When people really have something, it is a pleasure. He has no problem asking your questions if it is a real question. Now, if it is something for real, they are going to be there for you. Not just speaking about Luang Por Piak. I think any good teacher, and I believe it is something a little bit. There is an attraction. If you start to develop in your practice, you feel attracted towards a good teacher. A good teacher will feel attracted towards you. You two are going to meet. I think so. That's why I recommend, like, if you want to have a good teacher, make yourself a good student first. And from that thing happens naturally. It is a kind of karma, I think, as well.
Ajahn, do you have any advice about, one of the other hallmarks, we've touched on it a little bit, of the Thai forest tradition is kind of this sometimes like harshness of language. Some of the teachers, they don't pull their punches. Luang Por Mahabua apparently he actually was a boxer before he ordained, and he's not afraid to use phrases like, kill the defilements, beat up the defilements. And, teachers, like we said, Luang Por Piak is willing to laugh at our follies. And do you have any advice for so much or a lot of the Dhamma in the West is kind of, teachers put their gloves on, because a lot of students were just not ready for such kind of hard-hitting Dhamma. And do you have any advice for people? Say we are starting on this path of practice, path of progress that you're laying out. Say if we do have some level of sila, foundation of sila, but then we meet a teacher who's speaking in a way that we're just not so used to, kind of confronting. You talk about the path of confrontation or enfrentamiento, the path of confrontation. How can one prepare oneself to receive those teachings that we're just not used to?
Well, I don't think you should prepare yourself to receive those teachings. It's perfectly fine if you did not like the way first, you don't know if that teacher is a good teacher or not. Like it is no. Perhaps it is a good teacher. Perhaps it's just an angry person. We've been around with monks. We're just angry. Like senior monks is just angry. Like it's just angry people. So I think that this is natural. When you find a teacher that you respect and you feel respect for him, you feel, how you say this, trust. There's a level of trust. Now, when he talks to you like that, now you that it doesn't, suppose like in your mind there's little boxes. It doesn't fall in the box. Oh, this guy is hurting me. It comes. Oh, he's trying to help me. Now, your mind process that in a way that it is useful for you. Like it's something that I think this kind of thing has to happen naturally. It worries me that I speak to them. Yeah, just think that he's doing this for your well-being. Just try to not get. But then the person is in a situation is being abused by an abusive teacher, which happens. I think the three of us have been very lucky in that we probably seen like minor things like that, but if you hear stories from other people, from other traditions, like it is scary. Like I'm here in Brazil. Sometimes people from Zen Buddhism, from Tibetan Buddhism, they come to tell me it can be rough. It can be rough. And then so suppose a person in that situation. And he's there. Oh well, he's doing that out of compassion. No, he's not doing that out of compassion. Come on, let's be honest. It's not compassion. It's called something else. It's not compassion. So I don't want to take people away from their common sense. Now, if you feel offended, don't be offended. It's fine. Communication. The other person also have a duty to speak in a way that is useful. People don't always get it right. Even good teachers, they don't always get it right. But it's not their job to get it right. You came to them. This is what they have. Now, if you don't like it, fine. Don't take it. But I think the only advice I have in that respect is just be humble. Remember, usually you go to them. So you came to them. You ask. They gave you this much. You don't like it, fine. Leave it right there. Go somewhere else. There's no need to take it personally. But you should not force yourself to rationalize this kind of thing. If it happens naturally, if you naturally can feel where does that teaching fits in your training, is fine. But just be careful with that, because I see people doing that. It's kind of sad to see that. You can see like people are already in an abusive situation and they kind of rationalize it even further. Just this break my heart to say that. So I don't want people doing that. So, and also think what I think one of the reasons why there's such a stark difference between Western and in Thailand is that in West, the kind of people that get interested in Buddhism, because it's still something that's coming through texts now we know is even Ajahn Sumedho want to speak a lot about this. He actually, this is how it's supposed to be. People should be talking to one another. You're not reading. Now, when the Dhamma comes to reading, it is a certain kind of person we feel attracted to that. But in Thailand, it's like it's just, people are taxi drivers. They used to work in a hospital. They used to work as driving a taxi. Ajahn Pratip, if I'm not mistaken, he used to make jewelry. He was like an artist making jewelry. Yeah. And he became a Buddhist monk, like he's a very nice teacher. Ajahn Anand was training to be an accountant. Now, Luang Por Piak Luang Por Piak was going to be a business. Like he had a bit of university training and so on. But most of these teachers, they just regular people. No, I think what happens yet in the West is that Buddhism have not reached regular people. It's still in kind of intellectual circles. People have intellectual training, and lots of the time is that what attracts them. This kind of intellectual aspect of Buddhism was what attracts them. So it's a different public you're talking to. So, and also people have different characters now. Like for example, here I sometimes translate Dhamma talks from Luang Por Piak here in Brazil. People love it. They like it. They don't get upset. They don't get offended. They say, yeah, give me more. They ask for more. So they like this kind of teaching. So I think it's the idea. Maybe suppose the idea is to bring the student to a balanced mind state. Suppose you're much over here, so I have to bring it down. But if you are down here, you have to bring it up. It's like going too much to the left, too much to the right. So it depends of the average mind of your country or your culture. Perhaps it's just not the case. It's not like the right way to speak is a way that works. So if you work speaking softly and politely and saying very positive in your speech, if that works, then that's it. It's fine. It doesn't have to be one way or another. Really, you have to speak to the person you're speaking to. So most of the time, that's how it works in the West. Then that's fine. This is how we're going to do. Like in the West, we're going to speak like that, very politely, very positive words. Try to use positive imagery. You're not going to talk about being lazy as a pig. Just let the ridiculous kick you around like a football. You're not going to talk like that. That's fine.
When we first met, Ajahn, you were at Mapjan and we went on alms round, and you talked about how when you started to learn Thai and be able to translate Longta Mahabua's talks, it was the most fun you'd ever, it was a total turning point because of just his directness. And one thing this is a slight diversion, but not really, because I think one sort of relevant discussion is in terms of bringing people's minds to a bright state where they can take a certain amount of fierceness or directness or feel sustained in the midst of renunciation is if the meditation's going well. And for Westerners, and maybe moderns in general now, I think that Westerner-Easterner divide might be a bit less sharp than it has been since the world's globalized. But 30 years ago, so much of the instruction was just remain with the breath at one point. And for a lot of moderns, that just doesn't work. Is there one particular meditative approach or technique that you find, or one or two that you find are particularly workable for moderns or Westerners?
I don't think so. It's not a question of technique. And then again, going back to Luang Por Piak, it's something we repeat again and again. Like, if you don't have parami, no meditation practice will work for you. This is just, it doesn't matter which meditation practice you try. Like, if you don't have a good foundation, it doesn't really matter. Like, none of them will work. So it's really a matter, like we were talking before, building a good foundation. It's not hard. Meditation is not hard. That's why people don't get it. Maybe sometimes it's too easy. That's why people don't get it. But if you have a good foundation, if you have a mind that is docile, that is not, it works with you and not against you. It's not that hard, not that much. That's not too complicated, actually. It's not something that needs too much understanding or technique. It's just being there, and it's like riding a bicycle. You know, it's just do it. Like how you do it, don't think about it. Just do it. you fall, you get up. You fall, you get up. You do it. Like imagine, like you can read a book like this thick about riding bicycles. When you get on the bicycle, you're going to fall. It doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter how much you read about it. It doesn't matter. That's not what practice meditation. All this intellectual part doesn't come along to the meditation practice. So it doesn't matter how much you instruct it, how much instruction you have, information you give. It doesn't come across to the other side. The part of you that practices meditation is not the part of you that is reading the books or listen to Dhamma talks. Listen to Dhamma talks a little bit, because when you listen to a Dhamma talk like this, there is a bit of emotion involved. So listen to a Dhamma talk maybe a little bit, but especially reading books is a very dry and lifeless activity. You know, it's very rare that you can get something across in terms of more, not so much intellectual. So it is really those foundations of being able to. No, if you have a wholesome mind, it's easy to look to yourself. If your mind is very unwholesome, a lot of bad karma, it's difficult to look at yourself. It is unbearable. The experience of yourself is unbearable. So you do good karma, good action. The easiest way to have good, to improve your self-esteem, charity is the more obvious and simple way to raise your self-esteem. And then sila, and then like say, polish it up. This little foolishness that we do, this little angers, this little unwise way of thinking. Just polish that up. Use that. Have a bit of sense of humor. Have a bit of attitude towards yourself, and then sitting and putting your mind on the breath, and then learning how to deal with that. It's not that hard. If you have if you have enough wisdom to deal with your annoying neighbor, you're going to have enough wisdom to deal with your breath. It's going to work. Don't worry about it. It's something you're going to make it. Don't worry, you're going to make it.
Ajahn, you've got a great phrase, which is the illusion of erudition. So like the illusion that someone is competent just because they've read a lot of books. I got that translated on Google Translate from the Portuguese, so I'm sure the original was maybe even more inspiring. But I'm curious, you were basically away from Brazil, away from where you grew up for 10, 11 plus years. And there's this phrase, repatriated anthropology. So you've been away living in a totally different culture, and then you come back and you've got a very different view on your own home culture. I'm curious, after being away for so long, and still even, as monastics, we're kind of in a different culture of ourselves, wherever we're living, in our monasteries. They're different from the culture that surrounds us in certain ways. With that kind of external, internal wisdom perspective, what blind spots do you see for Westerners in general, or when you've come up to America, any just things which seem glaring blind spots for us?
In terms of Dhamma practice?
Yeah, in terms of Dhamma practice, or things just we're not seeing. We think we're practicing rightly, but we're just off on the wrong foot.
Well, I think we still very much into this. It's just the way we exist. It's a very based on. There's a bit of a commercial attitude or involved, that we try to make things into. It's kind of sound like products, and we kind of there's like mindfulness. It kind of becomes a product. If people sell mindfulness courses and mindfulness retreat, I don't know exactly how to. I think it's still. I think I think people don't bring the practice inside yet. Mm-hmm. It's still doing things externally. I'm going to a retreat to practice mindfulness. It's something that is, no, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to do mindfulness. It's something that is not here. No, it's not like, I don't know. I still, this is still very present. And also some places, a lot of this emphasis in technique, like the technique is the thing. You should acquire this technique. This technique will solve the problem. I think that's very foolish. That's very diluted. I just cannot wrap my around. I try to be humble and say, okay, well, maybe, but if the most I can do about it is say, well, I don't know everything. So perhaps there is a way to do this. But no, to be quite honest with you, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like it's so simple. What it kills me is so simple. Like if you do it properly, it's so simple. It's so simple. When you, I can't help but think it's a little bit dishonest to put people to give them technique and they do this technique. This will work. It's kind of, what are you talking about? It's not that. Why is just complicating things? Like, if you do things in the way that the Buddha taught, it seems to me it's so progressive and so natural. It's something you just ease into it. Like it's it's very spontaneous thing. It feels to me so natural. And then I get it. Like I think the problem with what I'm saying is this: to expect people to have this kind of approach will require faith. We require confidence. People don't have faith. They righteously don't have confidence, because why would you just have faith in something you don't know? Like, so in Thailand, for example, it's so much easier. You already brought it as a Buddhist. You already have faith in teachers. You can find good teachers. You can see good examples, both good and bad examples of Buddhist people. But if you bother to look, you can't find very inspiring groups of people, very inspiring monastery, very inspiring Buddhist monks, very inspiring Buddhist lay supporters. So it's not hard to have this attitude to just get into it and start take the practice from the bottom and start to build up a practice. If you come from a Western perspective, like you are isolated from other Buddhists, you're just yourself, and you develop an interest in Buddhism. So you have to approach from where? Like you're going to try to get a retreat, you're going to read a book. So it's something very, very like it just wedged into your life, like some alien being wedged into your life. So I get it. Like there's not much alternative to that, but I wish from now on we start to get that more. Let's give body to our practice. Right now our practice is just a big head floating in the air. Let's give them arms and legs, so people can get to know each other. They can go to a monastery. They can do activities together. They can have a more emotional contact with the Buddha Sasana, and not just an intellectual one. That I think that's probably what I think should be happening now. I hope should be happening now.
So be able to encounter a red light without getting angry at it is our baseline, or one of them. And one thing, Thanajan, is first of all, we'll actually go till 7 p.m. here for people. We've extended these sessions because they're just great. We'll post a link in about 15 minutes, and people can feel free to type in a question or two. Just one unpopular blunt dharmic truth in the West is renunciation. And what encouragement do you have people around phones, Netflix subscriptions, just general, like trying to encourage oneself towards renunciation? How important is that? How important is Indriya Samvara?
Yeah, what I usually tell people is that if you use something as a drug, you're going to have drug symptoms happening to you, and drug abstinence symptoms manifested into you. So just pay attention to that. Like, what are you doing? Like, are you using all this as a drug to just to avoid making contact with yourself, So all the symptoms of a drug addict will become manifest as well. So I'm not totally against the technology. I think some of the things the technology are providing now are good, like really good. For example, the map is just great, like just being able to go places easy. This thing with the Uber is great. You can just call a car, they come pick you up. It's really great. Like, it's really useful. I have no problem at all with that. For example, nowadays it's very possible for a lot of people to get away from big cities because at least here in Brazil, one of the problems of getting away from big cities, you have no access to culture. There's no library. There's no movie theater. There's you just, if you are like when I was young, if you get away from the big city, all you have is television and radio. You can even buy music, like you don't have good records. Like I was a fan of rock and roll. Like, so if you want a good rock and roll record, you cannot find it around if you're not in a big city. So nowadays that doesn't happen. You can have great movies, great books, any book you want. You can have. It's marvelous. It's great. So I'm not against everything related to technology. It's just that two things that worry me about technology. People are using to like anesthetic. They're just using to not be there, just to disappear. Now, in a level that we have never seen before. Like we used to criticize a lot of people from my generation. Used to criticize a lot television, but internet is really another level of the same thing. It's just amazing how much people just become numb to an extent that has never seen before. And then, so you use it as a drug. It is basically a drug. And then drug symptoms, all the symptoms related to drug use becomes manifest. We've seen, if you read the newspaper, you can see that happen a lot. People just, they cannot exist anymore. If you take away, like that example, people taking away the cell phone from the kid just go rampage, like just go crazy. It can't handle it. It's like a drug addict, really. And then second thing is paying attention lately is that this kind of some sort of internet content is replacing friendship. A lot of people just watch. I think that internet podcast or something, like people, it's a group of friends talking, and then you sit there watching them talking, and then you feel like, you had to feel like I am part of this group. Like I get the impression people just, they are like kind of, this is replacing real friendship. They get the feeling of friendship from people who there's a group of people you kind of leeching in like into their friendship. So I don't know. I don't like it. I can't. This is not good. I cannot explain to you why it's not good. But when I see that, I say, this is not going to turn out well. If this is why you everybody needs friendship to exist. That feeling of being part of, the feeling of exchanging, talking, listening to stories. You're getting that from a computer screen. That's worrisome for me. Like you're missing in actual contact, actual dealing with people. I fear that we are creating a very incompetent generation. That's quite obvious. It's quite obvious to see nowadays. People are just incompetent. They don't have any emotional skills. They can handle nothing. They are incompetent emotionally. And that expressed when they try to get involved in politics, it becomes a mess. When they try to help other people, it becomes a mess. When they try to fight for rights, human rights, it becomes a mess. So everything becomes toxic. Even when people try to do good things, it becomes toxic. Because people are toxic. So even good people nowadays are very, very toxic. So that's worrisome for me as well. So I do encourage people, don't have to not to have contact with technology. Just be careful. Don't use technology as a drug. don't use technology to replace actual friends. That's the two things I ask people not to do.
Yeah, there's a somewhat new English word which has been coined to describe this exact relationship. Rather than people having actual social relationships, they have these parasocial relationships where it's like I've got an imagined relationship with the person whose podcast I listen to, or I've been watching this show so much that I've got a parasocial relationship with the actors on it, whereas I've never met them. They don't know anything about me. And yeah, it's a strange psychological thing. And I think you're taking it back to the actual healthiness of actual Kalyanamitta and real life interactions is really important. We only have 5 minutes, so I'm a little bit hesitant to do this, but we were going to bring this up anyway as one of the main unpopular Buddhist topics in the West, but Vandana brings it up as well. So do you think people in the West are hesitant about rebirth? So that's the unpopular Buddhist topic, and just want to live in the present moment, and that's why they may not get deeper into the Dhamma. So maybe just to reframe that, how important do you feel like the traditional teachings, both from the time of the Buddha in the canon and from the Kruba Ajahns, who just talk about and speak about rebirth as if, it's just a natural fact that.
Yeah, I think the question is well put. But it's fine. It doesn't upset me too much, because I think I like the reason why people in the West has difficulty to accept the idea of rebirth is a good reason. They are skeptical, and that's good. I think that's a quality the Buddha would praise as well. Being skeptical, not just automatically believing. That makes sense. I say, and that it is a blessing in that sense. I feel blessed to be a Buddhist monk, especially Theravada Buddhist monk, because it's fine. I can work around that. No problem. You don't have to accept that. To develop wisdom, to become like this level, sila, and common sense. Just common sense. You don't need to believe in rebirth to do that. I think it's a very reasonable thing. I will only believe in rebirth when I start to get good evidence of I don't think you have to actually see rebirth to believe in rebirth. If you just get a good grip of what the mind is, if you really, this is the mind, and then you say, this is how the mind relates to the body. Now I can that idea becomes plausible. I tell people, it's like, no, suppose you get a caveman or like a Amazon Indian in the middle of the Amazon, never make contact with the Western civilization. If you go to that person and tell, we found a way to go to the moon. We have been to the moon. I said, no way. I don't believe you. So it showed them, here something we did, so you help you have more faith. Here's a bicycle. So, yeah, that's nice, but I still don't believe you. Well, what about this car? Car, nice. Still don't believe you. So what about this airplane? Okay, now I start to believe you. Now, airplane, even though we know the airplane doesn't go to the moon, but the principle are established. So it's a machine. I get inside the machine flies. So okay, now I can start to visualize the idea of you going to the moon. So it can be like that as well. Now people can just get into, establish themselves in their practice, develop wisdom, develop good behavior, fortify a wholesome, develop a I call this a balanced mind, a beautiful mind, a good-looking mind. Do a good job being a person. That's do a good job being a person, please. When you do that, meditation is not that hard. And then in meditation not that hard, if you develop that further, you're going to start to see things that you haven't seen before. You're going to start to realize things that you haven't realized before. And then perhaps the idea of rebirth doesn't become so strange to you. It becomes a faith, but a faith that is based on intelligence. It's a good way to establish faith. I think that's a better way to do it than just believing it because somebody said. But now, if you in your mind structure, the idea of rebirth doesn't sound crazy, then it's fine. It's good. It is something that the Buddha praised. The Buddha was, when I read the suttas, the impression I get, the Buddha was very careful in demanding faith from people. He tried to avoid as much as possible. One point that he could not avoid, it was in the question of rebirth and karma. Unfortunately, I had to do this. You have to believe in this because it is important. So, but that faith, that it is not essential to the initial practice of Cittabhavana, developing your mind. If you can do it with that concept internalized, it becomes easier. It becomes stronger, your practice. If you cannot accept that concept, or to accept that I'm going to have to let go of my common sense, then don't let go of common sense. Common sense is more useful than faith in rebirth. Keep common sense. Later on, as your practice develops, perhaps you can reassess that faith. But for now, keep common sense. That's more useful than faith in rebirth. Is not having faith in rebirth is not a roadblock that will stop you forever from making progress. You can work around it. It's fine. Don't worry too much.
I think we'll keep that quote. Do a good job at being a person. So for those of you who found it ironic for us to talk about parasocial relationships on a YouTube interview, we do have a Zoom session, so you can actually join the conversation. I'll paste the link into the chat. Ajahn Mudito will be joining us, despite the fact that it's like 11 p.m. down there. And if you don't see the link in the chat, just go to clearmountainmonastery.org, the Wednesday event listing, halfway down the page, and the Zoom link should be there. And Ajahn, it was so fun to have you on, and we always really appreciate. And if you ever come near the Pacific Northwest, we hope you'll come visit us. Yes.